Okay, I'm Heman Chaskar, currently the CISO at Mojo Networks. So clearly we are going to talk about security here, right? Now, and also the whole truth of security, not the half truth. And why is it a big deal, the cloud Wi-Fi security? I mean, if you go old school, all your APs, controllers, console, and people managing those were in your enterprise, right? You can see them, you manage those systems according to a policy. But what's going to happen with cloud, this middle piece, the big piece that's most important, critical, that's moving to the third party. And that contains your applications, your data, network configurations, network stat, everything that is going to reside with the third party infrastructure. And there are different people than your organization who are going to manage those systems. So they have access to that, right? And that creates a big deal because if an IT proposes that we want to throw all these controllers out, we want to go to cloud Wi-Fi, and if you have an organization with a CISO department, right? CISO department which is worth its salt, they are going to ask you, what about the security of all this stuff once it goes out of our door? And that's why this problem is very important. That's what I'm going to address, right? And as a CIO, you can say, oh, yeah, there is a way to do that. Let's get all the details about how the third party handles security, all the internal details. I'm talking about, each configuration of each server or firewall. And then let's analyze that, make sure it's all right, and then keep doing that. Because if I do it once, that doesn't mean it's like that next month. Now that's really hard way. That's not why you wanted to go to cloud. I mean, you don't want to go to cloud to increase the work for yourself, obviously, right? Uh, so what is an alternative? Is there a practical alternative to this problem that you can still go to cloud and have some assurance on the security of this third-party hosting and people? And that's where really, concept of certificates come in. So what are the certificates for security, right? So what happens is CSP, which is a cloud service provider, they are going to sign up these professional people, professional auditors, they are called security auditors, to do the security assessment of the environment. And then if your practices, the CSP's practices are found to be compliant to one of these security standards, and the standards differ based on which vertical you work in. So mostly in US, if you're a big enterprise, bank, other enterprises, they value this AICPA SOC certificate from SSA 16 a lot. If you're a federal agency, you got to stick to FedRAMP cloud security standard. And a lot of our international customers value ISO 27001 a lot. So then you, as a CSP, you get the certificate of security, right? Not only that, the assessment reports are available to your customers for review. So this is a concise summary, summarized information of what was analyzed, what was found, so that you can, as a customer, actually see how the assessment has taken place and what it has covered, right? And then it's an ongoing process. It's not once and done. You get a certificate, and that's not the done deal. You have to maintain it. So they are going to come back in 3 months, 6 months, and look back in the past, your records. Right? Did you continuously follow those practices, right? So that's interesting. And the big thing is that the CSP, cloud service provider, eats all this cost. So this cost is not on the customer. So that's one of the things that happens with cloud, that everybody doesn't have to independently do the security evaluation. You can share this exercise among different customers, right? So this is the value that cloud certifications bring to the table. And now the question is, if I'm a customer, whose certificate matters to me, right? And for that, you have to look a little bit under the hood of how clouds are deployed. The SaaS clouds, most our cloud Wi-Fi clouds are SaaS clouds. What that means is that cloud vendors sign up with the data center provider, and there are 3 or 4 major data center providers, right? And then they put their applications on top of their hypervisors. So there are actually 2 parties serving you if you look under the hood. One is the cloud Wi-Fi vendor, which is your SaaS, whose dashboards you see, right? Whose management applications manage your APIs, who stores your customer data, your employees' data and everything. And then there's this hardware layer behind it, storage, hardware, compute, networking, which is called IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. So there are actually two people inside that service provision end-to-end loop. So I need to give you this kind of half-truth warning. So when you see the shiny objects, right, thrown at you when asked about the cloud security, what you need to understand is when you say a data center certified, that has an omission. So this is saying that my cloud is hosted in a top-notch data center, but it's silent on your own practices on it. So it's silent on how you manage your applications, how you manage data that the applications create, right? So you need to show me a separate assurance that as a SaaS, you are following the right security practices to complete this loop. So you can't just live with this kind of assurance on the shiny objects, right? And actually the top cloud provider, cloud IaaS provider, makes that point very clear on its website. So this is right from the website of this vendor. It's called shared responsibility model, right? So it says that everything up to compute, storage, database, hypervisor level, my responsibility. I give you assurance on that. But what is on top of that? The applications, the data, the configuration of those security functions, the disaster recovery preparedness. That's what cloud Wi-Fi vendor has to do, right? SaaS vendor has to do. So the bottom line here is that there has to be one assessment on the bottom part and one assessment on the top part. There are two separate assessments. And rather than going into too much details about what each function is in each area, I would just say that there is a clear separation of functions that need to happen in each category, right? Security functions, and they need to be separately certified. So it's not sufficient to just say that I host in a data center which is SOC 2 certified, which just means that the bottom part is covered and nobody is speaking about the top part. And that's a gap in your end-to-end security, right? So what we do is we always give the whole truth right here. And the whole truth is that not only we host in all these certified data centers, we also have own certification program running, right? And we can provide you assessment reports of our own practices on top of these data centers, right? How we do vulnerability scans, how we do change management, how we do access control, how we do disaster recovery drills, how we do change control, right? All those functions, we do a separate assessment and provide a report on our own practices to our customers. That completes the security loop. And as a CISO of a big organization, they will ask for this. But everybody may not know this, but this is what we want to preach, that you cannot have a hole in this certification of the security in the middle, that there's a data center, there's customer, but there's a SaaS and Wi-Fi vendor in the middle. So really what I want to say is, if you are analyzing cloud security, you have to be more like this guy, right? Asking for the whole truth.
Can you go back? I've not heard of FedRAMP before. Can you give a high-level overview of what FedRAMP is and how it pertains to, if it does, FIPS?
Yeah, so FedRAMP is a standard. So if a federal agency wants to deploy a cloud service, and that cloud service has to be certified for FedRAMP. It's a security certification. There's a lot of security controls which you need to implement and get audited by certified government certified auditors, right? Okay. And FIPS common criteria is more on the platform side, that if you want to put an AP into federal agency, then that AP needs to be FIPS certified. So FIPS usually talks just about encryption, the cryptographic implementation. And our APs are FIPS certified too, by the way, right? For the
so completely separate certification.
Yeah, so okay. FedRAMP is cloud side and FIPS is platform side.
Okay. And you said everything Mojo Networks is currently FIPS common criteria, or?
Yeah, so we have FIPS common criteria certified platforms already, and we continuously also get new platforms certified as we launch new. So yes, we are.
When they talk about the open compute stuff, are you guys required to take each of those APs and take them back through FIPS certification?
So FIPS certification is very intensive certification, right? For that market, what you have to do is you have to make some choices on which one you're going to sell in that segment and then get those certified, because there has to be a process and overhead of certification, both time and money wise, right? So those have to be selected platforms that you will sell into federal customer segment.